Welcome back, everyone. I'm a bit excited today because I want to talk about a product that absolutely surprised me. It's not what I expected. I'm talking about the Eversolo DMP-A10, which is Eversolo's flagship music streamer, DAC, and PreAmp all in one. It's also a digital to digital converter. This thing is packed full of features. I have a stack of papers here with all these features because there's no way my brain could remember them all. But not so long ago, I reviewed the company's DMP-A6. Now, this was a little streamer with a cool display, all the features we want. That video received something like over 600,000 views. It was crazy. Then Eversolo came out with the DMP-A8. And that upped the game a little bit versus the A6. It had a better DAC in it. It was in a larger enclosure, some better parts. But now Eversolo has released their flagship streamer and DAC. Just like HiFi Rose, for example, they have a few offerings in the streamer and DAC department, and they go up in quality as you climb the ladder. Well, this one from Eversolo comes in around $3,600, $3,700, and it's packed with premium parts, features, and audiophile features you see in audiophile products. So this is a top tier streamer, and the DAC inside, I want to talk about that too. One thing I love about the Eversolo pieces, and it's no exception on the A10, is their app. I find their app to be one of the better ones that come with streamers. I like it better than the HiFi Rose app. I like it better than the Lumen app. And just about any other streamer I tried. I feel Eversolo is really leading the game in how easy and intuitive their app is to use. Now, another thing the A10 has is room correction. You know, when you walk around with the microphone using your phone or whatever, and the system will calculate the best sound for your room and listening position. I tried this and it worked as advertised. It did give me a little bit of a sweeter sound when I sat in my sweet spot versus the non-room corrected. So let's talk about it first and foremost, using it as a streamer only, right? I've been using the HiFi Rose RS130 streamer for over a year. I think 13 months now it's been in my system. That streamer is my favorite streamer because it offers such a beautiful sound quality. And yes, there are differences in sound quality when it comes to streamers. HiFi Rose for me stands out because it does something special with the spatial reproduction and the way it brings artists into the room. Now, what about using the DMP-A10 as a streamer going into an external DAC? Well, I tested it with the Nagra Tube DAC, which is absurdly expensive. I tested it with the Holomay KTE, and I tested it with the Dana Frips Pontus 15th anniversary. Now, going into the Pontus, everything sounded really good. It was pretty lively. It was kind of electric and got me up and wanted to dance. Beautiful sound. Going into the May KTE, it delivered that warmth that the KTE has, that vinyl analog vibe, but that KTE is also very detailed up top, but it's not screaming at you. It's a smooth kind of detail. The Eversolo did wonderful with the May as a streamer only. And I got to say, using the remote control on the Eversolo DMP-A10 to skip tracks through a playlist, it was speedy. There was no lag. There were no issues. Everything was working great. And this has Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect. And if you want to stream Qobuz, you can do so using the Eversolo app. There's also room for SSD drives down below if you want to serve your own music. But everything was smooth and glitch-free using the A10, which I really enjoyed. Now, going into the Nagra Tube DAC, where I've been really listening with the Rose 130, I did hear a difference between it and the Rose 130. There were differences, but overall, it sounded absolutely magical going into the Nagra Tube DAC. I'm just nitpicking when I'm comparing against the 130 because the 130 is $5,200. It's just a streamer. And you're paying that extra for that little bit extra of sound quality and magic. But the Eversolo DMP-A10 as a streamer only is fantastic. Now, I don't think people are going to buy this A10 to use it just as a streamer because it's really It doesn't have one trick up its sleeve, it has a few. Using it as a streaming DAC with the Sabre ESS Sabre DAC inside, I expected the sound, because I've been listening to this crazy expensive Nagra tube deck, which is heavenly. And Eversolo describes the sound of the A10 as heavenly. So I was expecting to put it in and hear some shrillness and some digititis, but man, I was shocked. I was very surprised. I was listening for a few hours just this morning still and over the last few days with the built-in DAC of the A10, and it is phenomenal. It greatly surpasses what's in the A6 and the A8. It sounds like a true audiophile streaming DAC, and the display is really, really nice. It's larger than what's in the A8 and the A6. It's crisp and clear, and there's all kind of ways that you can customize it using the app. You can choose different themes, right? Different styles of display. You can take out the album cover altogether and just have the text. And another cool thing is the volume on this guy, the A10. If you're going to use it as a preamp going into a power amp, say, there's a volume control, and there's a display on the volume control that's also customizable. You can set it as showing you the volume. You can set it showing the album artwork spinning. You can show it as a clock, or you can just have it off. And that's another thing with the main display. You can also leave it off if you don't want the bright light if you're listening in low light. So as a streaming DAC, it really, really surprised me. It was spatial. It was clear. It was audiophile sounding, meaning all the detail was there. There was a refinement and a smoothness over the sound that I didn't get in the A8 and the A6 when using it as a streaming DAC. So to me, this sounds like a higher dollar product because you hear that refinement, you hear that smoothness, and you hear the details and that treble coming out to tickle your ears. The DAC inside of this machine is fantastic. So I tried the Eversolo DMP-A10 as a preamp as well, and I pulled out a Past Labs XA25 that I have on hand here for a little while, and it was sounding really, really beautiful. Again, spatial, the character of the Pass amp, which is a little lit up in the treble registry, the upper mid-range, and it brings that beauty into the room with some excitement or some, again, ear tingles, I'll say. The bass was solid and big, the mid-range was crystalline, and a little bit into the room with the Pass amp. As a preamp, and the volume control on here is top-notch as well, this thing shocked the heck out of me. I'm used to these all-in-ones having subpar preamps or subpar DACs, and Eversolo seems to have really taken their time and designed this in a way that included everything that one needed, but that everything is performing all to the same high level. I think it has to do with the high quality parts that are inside of this. This is not a cheaply made device. Now the looks may polarize some. It's a different look than the A6 and A8. The A6 and A8 are square, right? No rounded corners or chiseled look or anything about it. This one has some heat sinks on the side. It has a chiseled look in the front, and the volume dial also has a chiseled kind of appearance. I think it's a pretty cool design. It's swaying from the A6 and A8. Some may like the more plainer square. Some may prefer the more artistic vibe that the A10 brings. So that is all down to personal preference. But for my opinion, looks, it's beautiful. Sound is top notch. So I'm going to get my notes here. Now, the Eversolo A10 also has a fiber network interface, just like the 5300 HiFi Rose RS130. It has dual subwoofer outputs on the back, so if you want to put a pair of subs in your room, you can hook those up right to the sub outputs on the back. And let's see what it says about them here. Independent adjustments of subwoofer gain, crossover frequency, and delay are available as well. All right, so if you want a sub, they're easy to implement here. Now, they have a clock system here that is temperature controlled, so if things get hot or cold, the sound quality is not going to sway. So Eversolo here also boasts about the power supply here. It says to further enhance sound purity, the A10 features dual power supplies, and power supplies make a big difference when it comes to streamers and DACs and other products that are similar to that. Any source product, the power supply is really key here to delivering a more refined sound, and they have dual power supplies here. Now, the A10 also has a digital to digital converter. It says digital signals from USB audio input, coaxial input, and ARC input can be output as SPDIF signals or analog signals after various EQ adjustments. So that's another thing. This has a full EQ, a parametric EQ built in. You can set it up using the app. And that's one thing I really liked about the A6 and the A8. So if you think you want a little more treble or a little more mid-bass projection or a little bit more bass, you can set that up in the EQ to your liking. It's very customizable. Now, this is also a fully balanced design. I have been using it with the XLR outputs, and Eversolo says it's equipped with a high-performance, fully balanced preamp circuit, supporting XLR and RCA analog inputs. It features a plus 10 dB analog gain and the R2R analog volume control, ensuring ultra-low noise and distortion, providing better signal-to-noise ratio, dynamic range, and other performance metrics. So it is a fully balanced design, and that's awesome. Like I said, they're going to, this is more of an audiophile, higher end. It sounds like a higher end, it looks like a higher end, but it's priced lower than most of these higher end all-in-ones. It has an XMOS 316 audio processor, supports lossless transmission of audio data. USB supports up to DSD 512 native and PCM 768 kilohertz at 32-bit. So the XMOS 316 audio processor inside of the A10. They talk about the magical volume control here. Now, again, I showed you the display on it. You can defeat that, but it's more than the display. Eversolo says the analog volume adjustment network composed of precision resistors and relays achieves accurate volume control, effectively suppressing distortion and noise in the analog signal. Also features volume protection, automatically reducing excessive volume to the designated safe level when startup, or switching inputs. So it's an R2R analog volume control. So if you're using it as a preamp, the volume control here is top notch. I'm just a guy who usually just grades on strict listening experience, performance. Does it suck me in? Does it involve me into the music? But there's so many features on this, I had to print them out. Master grade playback, supports every high resolution music format on the market. FLAC, SACD, DSD, etc., etc. So the DMP-A10 is also Roon ready. I believe it just got certified as a Roon ready device just this morning, the morning that I'm making this video. So it works with Roon. It works as a streamer using Tidal Connect or Spotify Connect, or you can use the Eversolo app to control everything, including Qobuz streaming, as well as if you put a hard drive in the bottom to serve your own files. Now, I've enjoyed this unit mostly as an all-in-one streamer and DAC. That was how I preferred using it. The DAC inside, again, is phenomenal. It doesn't have that edge or glare that DACs of this type in the past had, but it's also not a warm, ethereal type of DAC. It's right down the middle, so it has high resolution, high detail. It's smooth and refined all at the same time. It's not going to bring out the biggest bass, but it has adequate bass, and it's tight bass. And if you care about that, then you will like the A10. So in my opinion, Eversolo did a grand slam out of the park with the A10. They delivered, they upgraded the A8 dramatically, in my opinion. And if you're looking for an audiophile grade streamer that has all the features you could ever ask for, probably the best app on the market for a streamer, a beautiful DAC inside, a glitch-free performance when streaming, and a beautiful display. You can't argue with any of that. The display is awesome on the A10. Then this is one that you really want to look at, I think. And one thing that I really, really, really love about it is it's quiet as a mouse. There's no noise coming from the unit or the speakers. And when I listen to the music using it, I can tell That extra refinement is because of those power supplies and because the lack of noise. Everything they've done inside to get rid of that internal grunge really helps when you're listening, because that's when you notice the refinement coming out. So there you go. That's my look at the DMP-A10 from Eversolo. If you enjoy this video, thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll put some links in the description below if you want to check out more info or even order the DMP-A10. It's well worth it. If I was in the market for a streaming DAC, right, and I wanted something higher end, but I didn't want to spend that $8,000-$10,000, I would definitely be considering the Eversolo DMP-A10. I will see you guys in the next one very soon. I love you all. Have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you soon. Bye.